Thanks to broken Japanese codes, the US knew the plan. Admiral Nimitz launched a bold, preemptive strike despite the risks. Amid the chaos, luck struck. A PBY Catalina spotted the Japanese carriers, shifting the battle and opening a golden chance for a US strike.
Japanese sailors fought bravely, operating anti-aircraft batteries with frantic speed, forming a steel wall of fire to protect the fleet.
Meanwhile, Japan's veteran Zero pilots formed a deadly aerial wall, relentlessly attacking US squadrons and forcing them into desperate risks.
Dauntless bombers dove through flak and hit as the carriers rearmed. Luck became lethal.
In seconds, the carriers became firestorms. Packed decks ignited into unstoppable disaster. In mere minutes, 3 of Japan's main carriers, Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu, became blazing wrecks, wiped from the battle. Japan's last carrier, Hiryu, struck back and damaged the Yorktown, but was soon found and destroyed, ending their final hope. The Battle of Midway completely reversed the tide of the war in the Pacific, providing a decisive turning point and demonstrating the superiority of naval air power, marking the end of an era.
Post-Midway, the U.S. adopted island hopping, skipping strongholds, seizing strategic points, and closing in on Japan. Guadalcanal, 1942, the first island hop. Marines hit the shore, met by ferocious resistance in the jungle heat.
Every tree became a fortress. Japanese fought to the end, bleeding the Marines at every step. U.S. warships rained fire on Japanese defenses, trying to clear a path for infantry to push inland.
In the skies, U.S. aircraft provided constant support, striking hidden Japanese positions in the jungle to aid the infantry's advance.
In the jungle, every inch was a death trap. The Japanese resisted to the last man. Japanese troops used the jungle for deadly ambushes, making every U.S. step a risk. Many fell in silence. Close quarters fights were brutal, with no retreat, only death or survival. Flamethrowers and smoke cleared the caves. Bunker by bunker, the Americans pushed forward. At sea, chaos reigned. Guadalcanal saw some of the fiercest naval battles in history. Beneath the Atlantic waves, U-boat wolf packs stalked Allied convoys, the lifeline of the war effort. Beneath the waves, German U-boats, the Gray Wolves, waited silently, striking with deadly precision under cover of night. Torpedoes sank hundreds of ships, supplies lost, lives taken, and the Allied war effort pushed to the brink.
Convoys burned and sank, leaving survivors adrift in freezing waters, a fight for life even harsher than the battlefield.
But the Allies fought back. Radar and sonar turned the tide. Escort ships began hunting the hidden Gray Wolves beneath the waves. Destroyers struck back relentlessly, unleashing depth charges that shook the seas, hunting the invisible enemy below. Inside the U-boat, every depth charge was a fight for survival. The crew endured pressure, blasts, and the looming threat of collapse.
Naval aircraft swept the Atlantic skies, spotting and striking U-boats from above, forcing them to dive or be destroyed.
The tide of the Atlantic turned. With better tech and tactics, the Allies broke the Wolfpacks, securing their vital supply lines. Post-Stalingrad, Hitler launched into Kursk, betting on new tanks to pierce Soviet lines. July 1943, Tigers, Panthers, and thousands of tanks roared into Kursk, facing the Red Army's steel wall and the largest German armored assault. Kursk was a trap, layer upon layer of Soviet defenses waiting to crush the German assault. A wave of tanks and fire. Germany's assault roared into Kursk, seeking to break the unbreakable. Prokhorovka, July 1943. Thousands of tanks collided, igniting the largest armored clash in history. The sky over Kursk became a battleground. Swarms of planes dueling for control, life and death hanging in the balance below. Kursk broke Hitler's momentum. The Red Army now surged west in full counteroffensive. In the Pacific, Japan's desperation gave rise to terrifying tactics: suicide paratroopers, last-man defenses, and absolute refusal to surrender.
In the shadows, resistance grew, silent, relentless, striking from within to weaken the fascist grip. Above all, World War II was a civilian tragedy. Millions lived in fear, facing hunger, disease, and unimaginable violence.
Every triumph was built on pain. The wounded, the healers, and the fragile thread of life amid war's fury.
Late 1943, in Tehran, the Allies charted the path forward, preparing to strike into Western Europe.
By late 1943, the tide had fully turned. The Allies now held the initiative, forcing the Axis onto the defensive across every front.
From frozen eastern trenches to desert sands and Pacific islands, soldiers proved that courage and will were the war's greatest weapons. 1942-1943 marked a turning point, a testament to unity and resolve. The great counteroffensive had begun. A decisive landing loomed.
The world stood at the brink of a new phase, the final stage of the Great War, where humanity's fate would be decided.